and this is a savory pie for you. It's packed with delicious stuff. It's got like potatoes, and then it's got the melted cheese, the pumpkin, the mushrooms, and it's like an explosion of flavors. Let's cook it together.
Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Green Gourmet for another recipe. This is a recipe that my mom passed on to me. It's a super tasty recipe. I remember that one day I was going to have lunch at her house, and it was like an impromptu lunch, and she didn't know what to cook. And she actually had these few veggies sitting around and a roll of puff pastry, and she started putting it together. And when I got there, she was like, I don't really know what this thing tastes like, because it's something that I put together this morning with a few veggies that I had sitting around in my fridge, a little bit of cheese. Let me know what you think about it. And when I tried it, I thought, my God, this is just delicious. So I decided I had to make it for you, because the flavors in this recipe are just wow, you're gonna love them. This recipe is not one of those recipes where I say it's super easy, super quick. It is super easy. It's not super quick. It takes more or less 30 minutes from beginning to end if you do things in the right order. But the result is just so delicious that it's really worth it. Of course, we start with the pumpkin. I actually wear gloves when I chop up the pumpkin, because otherwise my hands, and especially my nails, they turn orange and it's impossible to get it off. So the first thing is that you deal with the pumpkin. In this specific case, it goes into the pie, so we are going to eliminate all the outer part and just peel it and dice it up. And we do the exact same thing with the onion. We dice it, we put it in the pan, and we let it cook until it becomes transparent. And of course, there's plenty of olive oil in the pan. After all, I am Italian and I love my olive oil. So you let the onions cook, and you chop up the mushrooms. So for the mushrooms, there is different thoughts, different schools on how to chop the mushrooms. Sometimes I actually slice them thin, as you've seen. Sometimes I actually slice them up in slightly bigger chunks. And it really depends on the recipe that I'm making. If it's a recipe where I actually want the mushroom to have its own texture in the mouth when I eat it, I actually do it in slightly bigger chunks. While for this specific recipe, I prefer it in thin slices. It's not too thin, but still it's like sliced down for this specific recipe. Once the onion is nicely cooked and transparent, just toss in your pumpkin, and you cover it with a lid and you leave it there to cook. In the meantime, I microwaved my potatoes, because I don't use the microwave really very much. Actually, I basically use it for potatoes only and for heating up my food. But I think that the microwave is absolutely perfect for potatoes. You don't have to boil them. It's very easy. So those are microwave potatoes, and you slice them. As you've seen, these slices have got to be fairly thick. We're not looking for thin slices. And in the meantime, when your pumpkin is tender, just put the mushrooms in the pan with all the other veggies. And of course, I added a little bit of white wine, because I think that it gives a very nice taste to the vegetables and the overall pie. Just leave them there to cook. You season them to taste, and I also added some herbs. By now you probably know it. This is the mixture from my dad's garden, which has got rosemary, sage, and thyme in it. And while the vegetables are cooking, you slice your vegan cheese. I actually used one that melts. Just make sure that it melts, and whether you slice it or you grate it, that's really personal taste. Just make sure that it melts, because with the potatoes and the other vegetables, when it melts, it's really nice in the mouth, and it really makes it very, very yummy. Then let's move to the puff pastry. You put it in a pan where you're going to cook this pie. and then you put the potatoes as one even layer on the bottom, then salt and pepper to taste. I also added some nutritional yeast, which adds this cheesy flavor, and I really love nutritional yeast and the touch of cheesy flavor that it gives to food. But it's totally optional, so if you don't like it, just don't use it. And then, of course, as you can see, the cheese again in an even layer. And once you've done that, just put all your vegetables on the pie. Then I leveled it a little bit, but again, this is optional. It really depends on how you want the pie to look. You don't really have to level it. You can actually leave the veggies here and there, because as you can see, we're just going to cover them just a little bit with the puff pastry, and then just leave it there. It cooks in the oven in approximately half an hour because everything is cooked. I think it's really delicious. It's al bacio.
This is delicious. Like, really delicious.
If you don't try it, you're missing out. I hope you like this recipe and let me know what you think about it. And if I did leave you longing for more, subscribe to my channel, Green Gourmet. And thank you very much. See you very soon on Green Gourmet for another recipe, another adventure, and a new video. Bye for now.